Commence primary ignition.
Hey there, friends, fans, and collectors. Welcome to another episode of Binary Sunset Review. Today we're talking the Mandalorian finale of Season 3. Let's get into it. We had a truly fantastic season finale here. We had action on space, action on the ground, just the beautiful Star Wars combination that really makes for fabulous visual entertainment. So last episode ended with Mando being captured by these Imperials. He mounts an escape, he starts fighting, he gets the better of these Imperials. We get some great just gear of all the Mandos have, both with him and the Imperials who he's fighting. We get the wrist gauntlets, we get the tether, we get the flamethrowers. They're all used against each other. Mando is overpowered eventually, but he's saved by Mecha Grogu. He comes in there with his no, and subdues the Imperials. It's a great scene and a nice rescue, a nice inverse of the father-son relationship they've seen with him in the movie. Now, Moff Gideon being revealed as the big bad here is observed behind a screen monitoring everything. And he says that he's going to take care of Mando himself. So he obviously is just one step ahead right here. And whereas Mando's going after the command center, thinking that Moff Gideon's going to be there, obviously Gideon's going to place himself strategically someplace different. In order for Mando to go after Moff Gideon, he calls on an assist of R5, who's been hanging in the N1. R5 jets on down, comms in, and eventually brings up the whole map display on Mando's gauntlet. En route to the control center, as we saw in the previous episode, there is this laser wall guarded by pairs of Imperial Mandalorians. And Mando has to fight his way through this. This is after he was just rescued, so he has none of his weapons, and we get a really great just Mando versus Mando's fight here, where he continually goes through these barriers, these laser barriers that are lifted by R5 on the call of Mando. And as he goes through, he gets more and more different weapons from these guys that he downs. And we also saw this in previous episode, but en route to the command center still, they pass through this hallway of clone vats. A lot of us had theorized that perhaps these clone vats were, leading up to Snoke, some other something, but in reality, they are clones of Moff Gideon. Not only is this a great surprise to Grogu, but it's a great surprise to us Star Wars fans, and it also shows the greater fracturing of the Imperial remnants and just the post-Empire galaxy, which is that, a lot of these resources, these clones looked a lot better than Snoke. A lot of the resources that could have been going to make Snoke a little less janky were clearly hoarded by certain warlords like Moff Gideon, who was able to successfully clone himself pretty decently. Now, these clones freak out Grogu as they should. Mando somehow knows the password to all these things, and there's a kill switch just ready and willing to go for these clones. So he purges the clones, the vats explode, and they all run out and head on to what they think is going to be the big boss battle. It really is a Mando's on the run scenario, with Bo and her crew jetting from these tunnels out of these little crevasses and regrouping, but not before taking out a bunch of these Mandos also with detonators and just better skills. It's important to know also that not only was the armorer in flight into the fleet to kind of regroup with some of the survivors they found on ground, but also Axe Woves we see just personally jetting off planet and then into atmosphere all the way up to the light cruiser. It's really neat to be seeing these Mandos doing this, because in Legacy, we do know that our Mandalorian suits of armor are pressurized, so we can jet around in space. It's not always certain for different models of Mando armor, but it's nice to see Axe Woves just tossing his helmet on and jetting out there into the void. He gets up to this ship. He warns everyone that the plan is to use the light cruiser as a decoy, abandon it to get everyone into the transports and all the Mandos back on the ground to support with the assault. We have a continuation of some beautiful shots of the Mandalorian Navy here, with them regrouping and then jetting right below the clouds. Just as the Interceptor and Bomber Wing also pierce through the clouds, we have some really great animations of just this air combat of the TIE fighters and the the TIE interceptors and the TIE bombers coming in and strafing the cruiser, with Axe solo trying to man these cannons and bringing down one or two of these TIEs. But this wing does its damage, and the light cruiser starts to go down, with Axe piloting it all the way down. Now, after 3 seasons and 24 episodes, we finally get the Mandalorian Civil War that we had been asking for. We didn't know it was going to be Imperial Mandos versus Mandalorian Loyalists, but Bo-Katan's group join up with the group from space. They jet in, and there is an awesome, awesome fight. Now, this is a purely Mando fight, too, because it happens mainly in the air in jetpacks. And these guys are just dueling with each other, not only blasters, but every kind of Mando weapon we've seen out there. There is some, every hero is using their own weapon. Bo's wielding the Darksaber with some awesome slashes. The Armorer with her golden jetpack. Love to see that figure recast, by the way. The Armorer with her golden jetpack is using her tongs and her hammer just to bash her way through. All the other Mandalorians are blasting and punching their way. Just classic bash, slash, and mash. Just some great Mandalorian might against these Imperials there as they retake their planet of Mandalore. We really do just get a lot of fighting in this episode. Just brutal bash tearing. I love that we saw Koska. At some point, she diverted 2 Mandalorians who were on her back, turned around, shot, and then used her knee darts, which are some of my favorite Mandalorian weapons. There's little tiny rockets tipped with poison that are in the knees of the armor of Mandalorians, and you gotta just bend your knees in the right way, and they shoot out. And man, she does it midair and gets these guys so good. But so much good Mandalorian action. This is what I was talking about earlier, this 3-pronged Star Wars battle with Mando dueling with a very, very pissed off Moff Gideon, having found that all of his clone babies were destroyed. He gets a nice little, "you killed my clones" kind of monologue before he charges in. He also gives us a really cool reveal that his clones were being bred to be force sensitive also. So that's what he was trying to use Grogu's blood for, was not trying to bring back a wrinkly old Snoke or a new emperor, but to use his own blood and his own clones to try and make them force sensitive so that they could be Mandalorian armor wielding Dark Trooper force sensitive clone versions of himself to take over parts of the galaxy. Pretty evil, pretty creative idea. I kind of dig it. But it's a nice twist that, he's not bowing his head to any other Imperial warlord. In his eyes, he is the Imperial warlord. He is the heir to the Empire. He eventually seems like he might best Mando, but Mandalorians are strong together, and Bo-Katan darts on in and headbutts him and really, really gives him a nice hit. And they team up against Moff Gideon. Now, when Bo darts in to save Mando here, she also takes on Gideon with this one-on-one battle that we've all been waiting for, and certainly she's been waiting for a long time. She's wielding the Darksaber, and as she goes into this duel, she tells Mando to go rescue his kid from the Praetorian Guards, who are beating him up pretty good. Now, Bo wields the Darksaber against Moff Gideon. They have a really long, nice battle here, but eventually, in the Dark Trooper Mandalorian armor, Moff Gideon does grab her hand in a parry and breaks the Darksaber. He just shatters this thing. So, like a classic bully, he just, if I can't have it, it's broken, it's done. So he smashes it, ends the kind of battle, and just in time, Mando comes in to help rescue and save Bo. Now, Grogu joins this fight also. At this point, he's been rescued by Mando from the Praetorian Guards, and he is force stopping, force moving, and really just triple teaming up on Moff Gideon here in this big boss fight. Now, just as the triple team starts really beating Moff Gideon into a pulp here, Axe comes crashing down with the light cruiser. Now, this is the heavily damaged capital or smaller capital ship that the Mandalorians were pirating, and it is coming straight down, targeted at this Imperial base. classic move. I like this a lot, and I was worried he was going to have to like run through the superstructure of the cruiser, but he's a Mandalorian. He just shoots out one of the windows and tosses his helmet on and jets out into space at the last second. It's a really cool move. He warns all of his Mandalorian crew, so they all jet out prior also. And as this cruiser's coming down and flames are going everywhere, Moff Gideon gets engulfed in them, and he does a great just final scream, and I like it. It's not even a scream of pain; it's just a anger scream. Just very good bad guy there, but he's engulfed by flame and is killed. This huge, we could just this huge, absolute huge explosion, which takes out the entire base and anybody who was trapped inside of it. I thought that it was going to get our heroes. Actually, it was so big in that kind of way. But we see Grogu using the Force to create a force field, one that we've seen in the past. It's really cool to protect Bo, Mando, and himself. It wouldn't be the finale to this unless we got the coronation of Bo-Katan as the new Mandalorian leader, as well as the lighting again of the primary forge. Now, this is huge cultural foundations for the Mandalorians. This episode ends with a really just heartwarming reminder and then just affirmation of the fact that Grogu is Din's son, and they officially adopt Grogu after this long period of time. And we've been treating and thinking for the longest time that it was this father and son duo, but you have to officially adopt this kid, this foundling you've taken care of for a while in Mandalorian culture, and Mando does do this, and because he does this, it means a lot, obviously, but it also allows Grogu to pass on to the apprentice stage, which is the next cultural step of a Mandalorian youth. They're still going to be going on adventures. It ends in an also beautiful way with them accepting the plot of land from Grief Karga on Navarro. Before they do so, they also visit the New Republic base, where they make a deal with the Republic captain, where they would take care of the sector, the Navarro sector, and different other Imperial warlords if they need be, if they would just call for a bounty. It was great to see all those Mandalorians clapping underneath the Mythosaur logo. It was also really neat to see them banging their gauntlets together as a new way to clap. I've been curious about this in armor for years at conventions. It just doesn't. You want something unique and special, and man, that was neat. I'm gonna have to adorn my gauntlets with some metal so I can get that clang really right. But nice new cool way to clap. Let me know what parts of the episode you loved. Also, what parts of just the whole season you thought were great in comments below. I'd really love to hear from people. Thanks for watching. My name is Mike, as always. Your likes and your views are always greatly appreciated. I hope you enjoyed this season. I hope you enjoyed the finale. I hope you've been enjoying these recaps. But also, most of all, I hope you've been enjoying spring and spending some time on yourself. Make sure you appreciate yourself out there and get some sunlight. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay sane, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.
I'm just a simple man trying to make my way in the universe.